Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Cupid Claire fixes Kyle and Summer's broken family. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Claire Grace Newman, Haley Aaron, might be crushing on Kyle Abbott, Michael Miller. However, Claire also hasn't made any moves toward Kyle in that direction. It seems Claire keeps the lines between boss and potential lover very clear, which isn't common for soap characters. In any case, could Claire really prove herself by scheming to reunite Kyle and Summer Newman, Allison Lanier? After all, Claire does spend a lot of time chatting with Harrison Abbott, Redding Munsell. Keep reading and let's talk about the possibilities. Kitawai divorce. He and our spoilers revealed that Kyle and Summer finally returned to Genoa City, which fans were excited about. However, over the past few years, a lot has happened with the former flames. In the end, Summer and Kyle moved out. It's clear that Kyle and Summer still love each other very much. While Summer has moved on with Chance Chancellor, Connor Floyd, it doesn't have that same spark or connection that she had with Kyle. I and our spoilers. Claire Grace Newman's crush. Claire has a crush on Kyle. However, Claire also knows that it would be very messy and bad to have a romance with her boss. Plus, Claire knows that Kyle's ex-wife, who is her other boss, is also her cousin, so Claire hasn't acted on her feelings and there might be a reason for that. Kyle Abbott's respect. The Young and the Restless spoilers revealed that Kyle has a lot of respect for Claire. Kyle likes Claire as a friend, but is also inspired by her journey. Kyle admires how Claire has tried to turn her life around after the mistakes she made via Jordan, Colleen Zank. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Unexpected matchmaking. Recently, Summer and Claire had a heart-to-heart. Summer admitted she was awful to Claire. Meanwhile, Claire opened up about Jordan, the crimes against Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott, and trying to adjust to her new family. Summer confessed she was adjusting to Claire being family too. It was a nice moment and there's no way that Claire will jeopardize the progress by jumping into bed with Kyle. In fact, Claire might realize that Kyle and Summer still love each other if they would just put their anger aside. Could Claire and Harrison work together to reunite SKLE? With how much time Claire spends with Harrison, the topic of Kyle and Summer must come up a lot. It could also do a lot of good for Claire and Summer's dynamic. Claire had always been a fixer, someone who saw the cracks in other people's lives and quietly, with a soft smile and gentle words, helped mend them. When she first arrived in Genoa City, she hadn't planned to get involved in the complicated lives of the Abbotts or the Newmans. But destiny had a funny way of pulling her into the heart of the storm, and now she found herself at the center of a broken family, one that desperately needed her help. Kyle Abbott and Summer Newman had once been the golden couple of Genoa City, their love story a mix of passion, tumult, and undeniable chemistry. But as with all great romances, theirs was not without its trials. The pressures of family expectations, corporate battles, and the ever-present shadows of their past mistakes had slowly eroded the foundation of their relationship. And now they stood on opposite sides of a chasm that seemed impossible to bridge. For weeks, Claire had watched the strain between them grow, the sharp words exchanged in meetings at Jabot, the cold silences that spoke louder than any argument. It was clear to her that despite their outward appearances, both Kyle and Summer were hurting, their love for each other buried under layers of resentment and pride. She knew that if someone didn't step in, the rift between them would only widen, potentially causing irreparable damage not just to them, but to their young son Harrison. One evening, as Claire sat in her cozy apartment, a cup of tea in hand, she made up her mind. She would do what she did best, she would fix things. But this time the stakes were higher, the task more delicate. She needed to be subtle, careful not to push too hard or too fast. Kyle and Summer were both strong-willed, and if they suspected she was meddling, they would shut down, and all her efforts would be for nothing. The first step, Claire decided, was to get Kyle to open up. She knew that beneath his confident exterior, he was carrying a lot of pain. His breakup with Summer had not just been about them, it had been a battle of wills, a clash of two families with long histories and deep-seated grudges. Claire had seen Kyle retreat into his work, using it as a shield to avoid dealing with his emotions. If she could get him to confront those feelings, maybe she could help him find his way back to Summer. The next day, Claire found Kyle in his office at Jabot, buried in paperwork as usual. She knocked softly on the door before stepping inside. "Kyle," she began, her voice warm and inviting, "do you have a minute?" He looked up, surprised to see her. "Claire, sure, come in. What's up?" She settled into the chair across from his desk, her eyes full of understanding. "I wanted to check in on you. You've been working so hard lately, and I just wanted to see how you're doing." Kyle smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I'm fine, just busy. You know how it is." Claire nodded, sensing his reluctance to open up. "I do know. But I also know that sometimes when we're busy, it's easy to ignore the things that are really bothering us." He frowned, clearly not expecting this turn in the conversation. "What do you mean?" Claire leaned forward slightly, her gaze gentle. "I mean that it's okay to not be okay, Kyle. You've been through a lot recently with Summer, with your family. It's only natural to feel overwhelmed." Kyle sighed, running a hand through his hair. "It's complicated, Claire. There's so much history, so much baggage. Sometimes I wonder if we're better off apart." Claire felt a pang of sadness at his words, but she didn't let it show. "Do you really believe that? Or are you just trying to protect yourself from getting hurt again?" Kyle looked at her, his defenses slowly crumbling. "I don't know anymore. I love Summer, I always have. But it feels like every time we try to make it work, something else comes along and tears us apart." Claire reached out and gently placed her hand over his. "Love isn't easy, especially not when there's so much at stake. But that doesn't mean it's not worth fighting for. You and Summer have something special, something that a lot of people spend their whole lives searching for. Don't let fear or pride take that away from you." Kyle stared at their hands for a moment, her words sinking in. "You make it sound so simple." "It's not simple," Claire admitted. "But it is possible. The first step is to be honest with yourself about what you really want. And then maybe you can be honest with Summer too." Kyle nodded slowly, as if seeing things in a new light. "You're right. I've been avoiding this for too long. I need to talk to her, really talk to her." Claire smiled, a feeling of hope blooming in her chest. "I think that's a good idea. You owe it to yourself, to Harrison, and to Summer." As Kyle left the office later that day, Claire felt a surge of satisfaction. It was a small step, but it was a step in the right direction. Now, she needed to focus on Summer. Claire knew that Summer was just as conflicted as Kyle, her fiery personality masking the hurt she felt deep inside. Getting her to lower her guard would be a challenge, but Claire was determined. The opportunity came a few days later when Claire ran into Summer at Crimson Lights. The coffee shop was bustling with activity, but Claire managed to find a quiet corner where they could talk. Summer looked surprised to see her but agreed to join her for a cup of coffee. As they chatted, Claire steered the conversation toward more personal topics, gently probing to see where Summer's heart truly lay. It didn't take long for the cracks to appear, the facade of indifference giving way to the vulnerability underneath. "I'm tired, Claire," Summer admitted, her voice tinged with frustration. "Tired of the fights, tired of the drama. Sometimes I wonder if it's worth it, you know." Claire nodded, empathizing with her friend. "I understand. But I also know that you and Kyle have something real, something worth fighting for. It's easy to walk away, but it takes real strength to stay and work through the hard times." Summer looked down at her coffee cup, her fingers tracing the rim. "I do love him, but we've hurt each other so much. I don't know if we can ever get back to what we had." Claire reached out, her voice soft but firm. "Maybe you don't need to get back to what you had. Maybe it's about building something new, something stronger. You've both grown, you've both changed. It's okay to start fresh as long as you're both willing to put in the effort." Summer met Claire's gaze, her eyes filled with uncertainty but also with a glimmer of hope. "Do you really think we can fix this?" "I do," Claire said with conviction. "But it's going to take honesty, patience, and a lot of love. The question is, are you willing to give it another shot?" Summer took a deep breath, the weight of her decision pressing down on her. Finally, she nodded. "Yes. I'm willing to try." As Claire watched Summer leave the coffee shop, she felt a sense of accomplishment. The seeds had been planted. Now it was up to Kyle and Summer to nurture them and see if they could grow into something beautiful. Claire had done her part, and now all she could do was hope that love would find its way back into their lives. In the days that followed, Geno City buzzed with the news that Kyle and Summer had been seen together, talking, laughing, and even sharing a few tender moments. It wasn't long before rumors of a reconciliation began to circulate, filling the air with a renewed sense of hope. For Claire, the sight of Kyle and Summer slowly mending their broken family was all the reward she needed. She had stepped in as a quiet force of good, a modern-day Cupid in the chaotic world of the Newmans and Abbotts, and as she watched them take tentative steps toward healing, Claire knew that she had played a small but important role in their journey. Love, after all, was worth fighting for, and sometimes all it needed was a gentle nudge in the right direction.